opportunity to share significant and audacious contributions to a large audience. My guest today is Linh Duong from Aalto Academy University, Turku, Finland. She recently published an article entitled "Start with a Bold Statement: Gender Displays of Confidence in Entrepreneurial Pitching." It has been published in Entrepreneurship and Regional Development, a journal edited by Taylor and Francis. Linh, welcome to our podcast.
Thank you for having me.
Can you tell us, what is the origin of your paper? Why have you decided to address this particular topic? And what is the question you aim to answer?
Yeah, so to tell the story of the study, perhaps it's best if we could go back a few years ago when I was at the beginning of my doctoral research journey. So my doctoral research as a whole, it concerns about the co-construction and co-display of gender in entrepreneurial pitching. So to understand the context of startup pitching, I talked a lot with practitioners, entrepreneurs, accelerators, organizers, and also some pitching coaches as well. So those conversations gave me the impression that the respondents, they refer to the pitch as a performance. And so the act of pitching is to them like the entrepreneurs were performing. So the entrepreneurs or the founders are the performers, and the investors and the audience are the evaluators of the performance. Yeah, to be more in more detail, perhaps it's interesting. I don't know. One accelerator representative told me that the pitch as a whole both represents the venture, but it also represents the founders, how they want to be seen on stage, whether they want to be looked aggressive, very confident, or emotional, is up to them. However, when they step down, it could be different. So all of those sharings and conversations gave me the idea that pitching is a performance, is a social practice that are done together by various people and are presented by the entrepreneurs. So in a way, I understood that there are at least two zones of pitching, the front stage of the pitch and the backstage of the pitch. And this study specifically is looking at the backstage, where entrepreneurs, with the help of other people, they prepare, they memorize, and they rehearse for their front stage performance. So I figure there are like three literature gaps that I want to address in this study. The first one is that when entrepreneurial pitching literature, while it has been growing, a majority of the studies focus on what happened on the front stage. So this study, at least according to my knowledge, is one of the only ones exploring the backstage context of pitching. Since the second gap is that since I look at it from the gender perspective, I also review literature on pitching, and either the studies, they either take the perspective of entrepreneurs or the investors. However, the gender is not constructed in a singular form. It is done through interactions, through identity work, and also through the reinforcement of gender norms. And so people form an understanding about what and how they present their gender selves in specific contexts. So in that case, or in that sense, with this study, I want to address the sort of the gap that gender is co-constructed and co-performed. And the title itself mentions about confidence. And I think maybe it's also interesting to tackle on confidence here, that confidence has been explored in previous research as well, that I agree. However, with this study, the findings shows there's a sense of pitfalls of overconfidence. And it's also stresses that confidence is at the center of pitching, but there's a range of ways to perform confidence. So in a nutshell, the aim of the study is to uncover how practices of pitching in the backstage amplified gender ways of showing confidence. And you asked about the question. I think the main question is, referring to the paper from a gender perspective, how do entrepreneurial actors showing confidence in the backstage in pitch training sessions?
What are the main contributions of your paper?
I think the first thing I can think of is the findings. It reveals 4 dimensions of performing confidence, the importance of protecting confidence, the relations of confidence and gender norms, the need to avoid overconfidence, and also the balance between not a balanced navigation of how confidence can be conveyed. So through the dimensions of performing confidence, the paper demonstrates that confidence in pitching is a gendered concept, especially in the backstage. Entrepreneurs prepare to present a confident, assertive founder's image when they step on the stage. And the second main contribution is that the gendering process of confidence in pitching is illustrated through multiple levels. So at the individual level, the individual perception about how men and women act and behave determines the understanding about confidence. For example, I had pitching coaches told me that in their observation, men entrepreneurs are more confident, and some of the more experienced actors perceive it as in a more of an inherent or natural characteristic that men have. At the interaction level, when I observed the pitch training sessions, I saw that nascent entrepreneurs, when they interact with more experienced actors, they accept the norms of displaying certain gendered connotations of confidence. They didn't question, why do I have to do this? They didn't question the expectations. And partly because those norms and expectations were introduced to them during the training period, during the pitch training sessions. There's a sense of power and how power dictates the social interactions here.
What was for you the main theoretical or maybe methodological challenge or challenges in addressing such a question?
Yeah, I think this question is interesting, and I have a lot of reflection thoughts when I saw the questions. One of the first challenges that popped up in my head relates to different types of data that I have in this study. So the study includes both observation notes and interview data. And the interviews were then with early stage entrepreneurs, with pitching coaches and accelerator organizers. I wanted to tell the story of the respondents, wanted to know how they engage in pitching activities and how gender becomes or how gender is always present throughout the process. However, it became a challenge when I analyzed the data, or at least from my perspective, when I analyzed the data, it became a challenge how I could integrate my observation as it has more personal, subjective, and affective elements in it with interview data, where the respondents were giving more space and time to discuss their opinions and their journeys. So I did try different analytical approaches. I tried different versions of the findings. There were always something that were missing, especially when I asked other people giving comments about that there was something missing. And it was difficult to provide a central element and provide a structure. So eventually I felt constructivist grounded theory approach, and that analytical approach, at least it gives me in this paper a structure and a central element to incorporate different types of data.
During your research journey, what was your biggest surprise or maybe the most counterintuitive result?
In my own opinion, the biggest surprise of the results would be the dynamics of showing or showcasing confidence in entrepreneurial pitching. What I found first, or very soon in the analysis process, what I found was the concept of confidence and how confidence is understood by respondents. It supports the previous studies findings that emphasize on charisma, assertiveness, having some humor, showcasing humors, and being like a rock stars, the heroes, the winners image. What is unique about this study could be like the articulation on overconfidence and pitfalls of showing overconfidence. And overconfidence here, from what I found, is is being excessively aggressive. For example, someone who tries to talk to other people about their business ideas and didn't really care about other people's perception. Someone who's dominating the conversation, and someone who's showcasing confidence intensively and excessively as well. So while confidence is clearly encouraged, there's a tension among entrepreneurial actors on both encouraging early stage entrepreneurs to conform to it, at the same time criticizing the act of displaying overconfidence. So to me, it was, at least for me, it was interesting details. Yeah.
What are the main implications of your work for entrepreneurs, managers, policymakers, practitioners in general?
I think, first of all, one of the implications is the awareness of visibility and dominance of masculine discourses and performance in entrepreneurship. And it doesn't, maybe it's also important to highlight that not only women, but also men entrepreneurs conform to these norms as well. I hope the study could help could help entrepreneurs to be aware of the visibility of certain masculine forms in entrepreneurship that together with other entrepreneurial actors, they have been overlooked and these norms become taken for granted. So for nascent entrepreneurs, pitching is one of the first steps into entrepreneurship world. And as this study show, it's like a domino effect. Before they step on pitching stage, gendered connotations of confidence is already putting and giving to them in the training sessions. So it happens already before we see the entrepreneurs. And as the gendering process continues, it may discourage both men and women entrepreneurs to engage more in entrepreneurship. Another implications for me is that this study is in the context of Finland and in a way it challenges the conventional perception about gender equality as a whole and gender equality in Finnish entrepreneurship scene by showcasing that gender inclusiveness is not only about the numbers of men versus women or vice versa, but it's also about how gender norms are being maintained and reinforced at different levels, individual interaction and institutional norms.
Thanks a lot, Lynn, for participating to our show and presenting your paper entitled Start with Bold Statement: Gendered Displays of Confidence in Entrepreneurial Pitching. All our podcasts are available on entrepreneurship-early.com and on the main podcast platforms.
Thank you.
On entrepreneurship-early.com and on the main podcast platforms.
Thank you.